There are very few places on this planet that have so many species that you can find in one location and nowhere else.
There is no other place like this, and I think that's very important to preserve that for the future generations.
Without the island, I don't think that I would have had many of the opportunities I've been able to experience to see the bigger picture of the world and to really be a person who cares about protecting and saving our environment.
My name is Lauren Denhart. I am the Plant Conservation Manager for the Catalina Island Conservancy. One of the programs we have here is the restoration program. We bring in a whole bunch of interns from all over the United States, and they're learning new plants on the landscape, learning how to plant native and endemic and rare species, and they also learn how to remove some of the invasive plant species.
Today we're removing fennel and Russian thistle, and we're managing these invasives with the goal of creating more resilient ecosystems that allow native and rare species on this island to thrive.
Everything that's come up here natively hasn't really had a chance to deal with the outside world, and so conserving these places and conserving their native plants and animals is super important because you won't find them anywhere else. So if the plants and animals here disappear, you're not likely going to see them again.
Without the Conservancy, a lot of efforts would have never occurred. Back in the early 2000s, the goats and pigs were removed from this landscape, which was a huge boon for restoration. It allowed the vegetation here to flourish, the habitat for the native wildlife to support them. And what that resulted in is what you can see behind me is a greening up of the landscape, a revegetation of the landscape.
I've recently got my bachelor's in natural resource management, and working with the Catalina Island Conservancy represented a great opportunity to diversify my skills and get some more hands-on knowledge of how conservation works in the field and see how humanity can coincide with nature and how we can both benefit from that relationship.
Catalina is like one of the most amazing places I've ever encountered, and preserving it and protecting it is important to me.
What we hope to achieve through our lessons and field trips and everything that we do with the students is to educate them about the things that only exist here on the island, why we need to protect it, and what a special thing it is to have such a large space in Southern California that is maintained and kept as it would be without people here while still allowing people access. My name is Cressida Bowman, and I am the Senior Education Specialist for the Catalina Island Conservancy. I am constantly impressed with how the students are able to remember things from previous field trips. When we come back to places like Little Harbor, they remember coming here in summer camp, and they will tell me a story that they remember learning about the rack lines or learning about the crab. And so the fact that they are able to learn from each experience and they take those memories away is really special to be the one that's connecting them to the island that they get to grow up on.
I like how on field trips I get to learn more about the island. On a previous field trip we got to see foxes.
Programs like this are very special because we also are teaching them how to use scientific tools and hopefully inspiring some of them to enter the field of science as they enter into college and past then. So we want to inspire them to be better consumers. We want to inspire them to care about where they're growing up. We want to inspire them to stay curious and to possibly explore fields in science careers in the future. Fourth grade, get your stuff! Let's go! Where? To the van! We're going home!
For me, Catalina is a very personal experience. I grew up not really having my parents involved in my life. My dad wasn't around and my mom worked most of the time. She just had to support my family. So when I came here at 15 years old, it was, for me, a magical experience. I felt like I belonged, like I had a purpose and a place. I learned about myself and my responsibility to the greater good of humanity And I see that happening just every day when the young people come and find their own place and perspective on the world. I'm Lee Harrison, Scout Executive CEO for the Western Los Angeles County Council Boy Scouts of America. A lot of conservation organizations, their main mission is really to protect and to isolate and to keep people out from using that facility or program or area. What the Catalina Island Conservancy does is it really encourages the exploration and recreation of this resource. So we as a scout camp here, we bring about 20,000 young people here every year, and our youth are going to the highest peak here on the west end. They're canoeing around the island. They're looking at the native plants and animals, and the Conservancy allows us to go and explore all parts of the island. I think the emotional piece for me is really seeing young people, especially in that age, about 14, 15, 16 years old, sometimes kind of uncomfortable with themselves, don't know who they are, come out here and have an experience that transforms them into being confident, conscientious observers and responsible stewards of the lands that we're participating in. And so the ability for young people to come and explore this island and do it in partnership with the Catalina Island Conservancy, there's nothing better. It's pretty amazing.
I am grateful to the Santa Catalina Island Conservancy for the Trans-Catalina Trail because it has afforded everyone the opportunity to come and enjoy this beautiful spot and to experience Catalina Island the way I do as a resident of Avalon. I'm Linda Salo, and I'm a member of the Conservancy and a hiker pretty much of every part of this island. The shade structure is the best things ever. The Trans-Catalina Trail has very little shade. And so if you're on the trail and you look up at the top of the summit and you see that shade structure just sitting there waiting for you, knowing when you get to the top you can have that split of champagne, which is always a fun thing to do. It's very, very welcome. And I'm such a great believer in the shade structure program that I felt it was something that I could do to just enhance the enjoyment of people, and it's really a special opportunity for me.
The Catalina Island Conservancy is the true standard bearer for the idea of conservation, recreation, and education. And we look forward to another 50 years partnering with the Conservancy to be able to demonstrate that to the general population.
I wish the Catalina Island Conservancy a very happy 50th anniversary, and here's to 50 more years.
Over the next 50 years, I think the Conservancy could play a really important role in buffering the natural communities of Southern California against the ravages of climate change.
A lot has changed in conservation in those 50 years. We've learned a lot, and that continuing push for conservation for that period of time is invaluable.